Hey everyone, it's me, Romie. Oh, shucks. Yeah, sorry about that. So, this is the review for Growing Up Hip Hop, which comes on WeTV at 8, I think 10 p.m. on Thursdays. So, this is season 1, well, the series premiere. So, season 1, series premiere, episode 1. Yeah. So, first, I just want to say I really appreciate the show because it is refreshing to see people who are already established or have money or have the ability to generate money because unlike these other reality shows, a lot of these other reality shows, the people on these shows don't need the show and don't need this for a quick buck or to become hot or famous. And so they're not going to go and act a fool just because. Yeah. So I definitely appreciate that. I actually believe everything that I see on this show. So I definitely recommend you watching it if you weren't going to watch it or if you were unsure you weren't going to watch it. So that was my little spiel. Now let's get into this review recap. So we start the show with, of course, Romeo Miller, who, as we know, is Grandmaster P's son. And he is just giving a general synopsis of where his life is right now. And we see him in the club, we see him enjoying himself. And then the next day, he actually goes to his father's house because his father's like, you know what? It's time for you to take over the business, take over the record company. And he's like, things are going to change. Like, Romeo's trying to say how uh, it's um, it's going to be difficult for him because he already feels like he's doing a lot and juggling stuff. And Grandmaster P's like, you know what? I juggle like 30 things at once. So, you're just going to have to step up. And Romeo's like, I know. So that's pretty much it. And then uh, we get after that, we go to Angela Simmons, Reverend Run's or Rev Run's daughter, or one of his daughters. And so right now she's just going and talking about how in her life she's handling things on her own because she went from doing clothing stuff and other ventures with her father and also her sister to going out on her own, moving to I think California and uh, changing up her lifestyle in the sense of now she's completely independent. Everything that she's doing is not being backed by her father. So it's a lot to handle. It's a lot to juggle. She's going to be doing her first fashion show for her new line. And so we also get to see some of the people that's going to be around her. And then we get to Romeo is talking with, I believe, Angela, and they're gonna meet up to do some chit chatting. But the next new person that we see is Christinia DeBarge, and if you don't remember, Christinia is actually James DeBarge's daughter. She's also the same one who had the smash hit back in around 2009, "Goodbye," and dun, dun, do 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 do, hey hey hey, goodbye. Yeah, and so of course the remake of the original. And so she's just talking about how people have this all perception of who they think she is. They think that she's this just cute cookie cutter girl, and that's not her at all. We hear her singing over definitely a hip hop inspired beat, and then while in the studio, her uncle surprises her, Eldebarge, and this is where we kind of see how her storyline is going to be a little bit different than everyone else's because her father is still in jail. He's been in jail for the past couple of years. She's actually 25 years old, and he went to jail about like 4 years ago, or less than 4 years ago at that time. And so, but aside from that, she plays her music for her uncle, and he likes it. And uh, she's just, again, just kind of venting a little bit about how her life currently is and what she wants to do with it, and also kind of the struggles that she's going to be going through that people don't really know about. And so her storyline is definitely probably going to be the most interesting, in my opinion, at least at this point. Anyway, we get back to Angela, even though they're all interesting. So I just mean from his regular family drama and real life drama, it's going to be a little different, a little bit darker than some of the other people's. But Angela also has some issues because she is a stalker. She has a stalker, which isn't funny because anyone who's ever had to deal with someone who was infatuated with them and you don't even know this person understands that that is scary. It is really creepy, especially when they're doing stuff from afar. That's when you know it's some real stalkerish mess. So we actually see this teddy bear. And actually, I'm gonna pause the video for a moment. We'll be back in 5, 4, 3, 1. Hello, and we're back. So yeah, so imagine this teddy bear, a teddy bear kind of like this, a little bit bigger, but just completely messy with dirt on it. And that's essentially what uh, this her stalker gave to her, and she's kind of like she right now because she knows she has a lot of friends with big senses of humor, and so she's thinking that this is a big deal, but it's not the biggest deal. This is probably more so someone who just is trying to play a joke on her, and so she brushes it off for the moment. But then we'll see it's not a joke. The next thing we have is Romeo talking with his girlfriend. I don't know his girlfriend's name. Apologize. The big thing about that is she is white, and so a lot of people are going at him because, we all know Romeo Miller. The ladies love him, and so he's a black guy, rich, successful, responsible, and so when you have someone like that who stereotypically, and at least in our community, and it's not the norm, when they date outside their race, a lot of people have an issue with that. And it's not even really like white people other, it's normally African Americans because they're like, how can you, they see him as example as like a black king go and not be with a black queen. And my whole thing is like, come on, it's 2016 and there's people who are miserable with each other because of the fact that they had to be together, and it really should be about. And he made a good point on the Breakfast Club uh, interview. He wasn't saying it in a derogatory way, but he was kind of like people had an issue and still have an issue with guys being with guys and women being with women, but it's how is it? But they are slowly accepted that or pretended to accept it or just not talk about it. So how are they going at him so hard for dating outside of his race? And so it was like, that's a valid point. He didn't say that on the show again. That was in a separate interview. Uh, so I, I definitely understand where he's coming from and do agree and get his logic. And so after that, he actually goes and meets up with Angela. She's still trying to prepare her clothing line, and it's so he goes and meets her. And side note, it's funny because the ladies, they're it's like the doorbell rings or there's a knock at the door, and so you see them all kind of like going goo goo gaga over the fact that it's Romeo. I mean, this is literally her, I think her assistant, maybe her reaction, maybe not her assistant, but it was like, and this is everyone else's. It was like, oh, and then they were, they had to work, so they couldn't just go goo gaga. But it was just side note. That was a funny thing to me. So the next person that we actually meet is Dame Dash's son, Boogie Dash, and so as we know, because he has his own, I think he's gonna be taking over like Dame Dash's studio or whatever, and also he has, I believe, a food line where he sells cupcakes or whatever, which is smart because you have to think, what do people want and what are they willing to buy? People love food, so why wouldn't you get into the food business? So that's genius. I mean, look at Patty's Pies and his what's it called? Cupcake line's doing very well. And so, they have the general montage of Dame Dash, and we know in general about Dame Dash, and it's just cool because Boogie Dash is kind of showing how he's been around famous people all his life, like the big people that we love and looked up to or thought were the greatest, like Jay-Z, Lauryn Hill, Redman. And so it was really cool to see Eminem, just like the history. It's like I was around all of these people at a young age, but I was also kind of around some BS. It wasn't like nothing compared to what my father had to go through, but still. And so of course Dame Dash is there, and here's the main conflict of the episode itself. Oh yeah, and I forgot to say that Romeo was so emotional and was actually crying when he was talking to his girlfriend about just the whole situation in general, which Romeo said that he rarely ever cries, and I believe it because that's the thing. Someone who normally doesn't cry, it usually it's always one of those things where it's like, damn, whenever you actually do, it's when people are around or someone's there to notice it. And so people just think that you're soft and all that, but that's not the case. But anyway, everyone's there having a good time. And then, of course, Peppa from Salt-N-Pepa comes in and she brings her daughter. And her daughter's name is, actually, I'm not sure. But anyway, Dame is complimenting Peppa and, oh, Egypt. Sorry. She is Egypt. And of course, her father's famous too. And so it's really cool because right now I think we've seen almost all of the characters that are going to be on the show. And the main conflict for this, oh, and Egypt's trying to make it on her own because she also wants to do what her mom does, but step out of her mom's shadow, so to speak, because of course Salt-N-Pepa's still big right now. And so you have Peppa and Dame Dash talking about how things were real when they were growing up, about shootouts, people getting killed, being robbed, and it's like these kids had no idea. They're like the nice, you know, cleaned up version of us. And so Angela is wondering where's Romeo's girlfriend because it was like I'm supposed to meet this girl, so what's going on? And it's weird because Romeo is basically like wants you guys to meet because I want her to be around you and kind of be more like you. And Angela's like, what? What do you mean be more like me? Type of thing. And it's like, you're not trying to date me, you're trying to date her. So why would you want her to be more like me? And we know that Romeo clearly, he wouldn't be mad if Angela was willing or wanted to pursue something further. But, they're such good friends that they don't want it to get messed up. And I said that part out of order. But you have Dame Dash overhearing a conversation between the two where she's also talking about the stress of her clothing line and how things are, there's just so much to deal with and a lot of pressure and the stakes are high because this is just all her. And then Dame Dash comes over and he's like, you guys have no idea. This is nothing. You weren't out in the streets, out worrying about getting killed or seeing people killed or being robbed or whatever. And so, of course, Boogie Dash is also like, yeah, because I understand in general what Angela's talking about, but she has no idea what stress really is, and her life is great and cookie cutter, and there's nothing to complain about compared to what our parents had to go through or my father had to go through. And the whole thing is Angela gets what Boogie's saying because here's the thing. I appreciated that she is smart enough to know when to pick her battles. With someone like Dame Dash, you don't go and meet an alpha male with another alpha male because nothing is going to come, nothing well is going to come out of that. So instead, you just like, you sit there, nod and agree, or just accept it because it's like, he's speaking the truth in general, but he's more so pushing his own mindset and agenda onto you, and you as an individual, you're just different. And so what you currently have going on is going to be different, and the struggles are going to be different. And so if it's not like the worst thing, then or worst case scenario, then he's just like, get out of here with that BS. And so again, it was cool because she was respectful and he wasn't being disrespectful. He was just being himself, and he definitely was being honest. I just kind of wish that uh, he kind of slowed down just for a moment so that we could get a better idea of what Angelo was trying to say, so that he could, because who knows, she could have been like, yeah, I know this isn't the worst thing at all, it's just in this very moment it's a new thing for me, so I'm just learning how to handle and management, and that's all. Because that's essentially what she was saying or trying to say when he came in. But anyway, we get to Christinia, and she's back with her family and her aunt and her mom, and they bring out the storybooks because, of course, now we don't really know her, so we have to get the character development and understand who she is as a person, why she does what she does, or why she wants what she wants, or why she feels how she feels. And we see this cute album book, and of course, she was going to be a cute, beautiful young girl. And you see this really touching picture of her with her father, and she was just saying how handsome he is or was, and it makes her emotional because she remembers how she learned when she was 12 that, her father was an addict. And so her life was never really the same. And she was just saying how there was so many things going on at that time that she was terrified to tell her mom because she didn't want to put it out there and for, I guess, any type of real backlash between the two. But she was like, there's so much stuff going on. But anyway, so we have Romeo talking with Angela, and they're just doing general chit chat because no, actually a recap because Angela is pretty much like, you know what, they he's cool. I get what he was saying, but I felt like a little attacked. And Romeo's like, look, Romeo would react the same way I would react, just like how in the initial conflict, how he did kind of step in and start vocalizing to try and change the subject. I mean, that's what you do when you see your friend pretty much getting a friend getting verbally beat on, or maybe possibly even feeling a little embarrassed, so you try to switch it up. But yeah, they talked, and he was just like, you know what, he is who he is. I understand where you're coming from, and he's just not going to see it the same way you see it. And so, they do this cute little, have their little thing going on, type of thing. And so then we switch to Dame Dash and his son Boogie, because Dame is getting another tattoo, and he's getting on his chest. And I have to give it up to him because I could not and would not do something like that, because that is just way that is really sensitive area right here. No. Well, I don't even have really a chest, so that would just go right through me. But uh it was interesting because they were also doing a recap of what happened. He was just saying how he's been hearing that Angelo's feeling a certain way about it, and he's just kind of like, he definitely understands why she would kind of feel that way. This is Dame, cause he's saying, he's almost kind of saying like a hit dog hollers, but of course being more respectful than phrasing it that way, because of course Angelo's not a dog, but he's pretty much just saying how, you know what, if it's bothering her, then it's for a reason. Then maybe she knows there's some truth to what I was saying, and so there really isn't a problem. And that's pretty much it. And they, of course, they talk about how they grew up and it was different, so it makes sense why she pretty much isn't understanding that. And so, of course, we see Reverend Run with his daughter, and they're just doing a little recap about what's been going on. And she pretty much is like, I'm working on the fashion line, doing this and that. And by the way, I have a stalker, possibly. someone, she doesn't even phrase it that way because she says someone sent me a teddy bear, a dirty teddy bear, and they delivered it to me when I got there. And he was like, "What are you doing? Where's your security? Are you crazy? If they're able to do that and know where you are right then and there and send to you on time or whatever, then they know where you're going to be. And so that's dangerous for you. Why would you put yourself in that situation and not uh, get more security or cancel the show? Just cancel the show. I don't want anything happening to you." And he's pretty much like, you know what? I mean, she's pretty much like, you know what? I'll get security. I'll get security. And he was like, all right. And so then he backs off of the whole trying to have her cancel the show. But we get to Christinia and she's in the recording studio and there's a lot of stuff going on in her mind. And so she takes a couple of days off from recording her record. And so after that, it's the party. No, sorry, backpedaling. Romeo actually goes to meet with Grandmaster Jay's son, who is, let me get this name. Let me get this name. Sorry, guys. Oh, okay. So with Grandmaster Jay's son, he's showing, of course, his skills. He's learned from the best. So, JT, yeah, that's what I'm just gonna call him because the other one, whatever. So JT, they're talking, and he also kind of says what happened with Angela and uh, Dane Dash, and he's pretty much like, well, of course, Angela's going to be a little embarrassed, but uh, they all came from a different generation. We know Grandmaster Jay was killed, so he understands where Dane Dash was coming from. But we also get this part where Christinia is with her friend and her roommate, and they're talking. I think her name's Hazel or whatever. And they're just talking, and she's just talking about how, oh, she had a crush on Romeo. Uh, and she actually met him when she was 14. She gave him a hug, and she was so embarrassed because she just liked him so much, and she never told him that story. So she gets a call, she gets text messages from her uncle, and her uncle's basically like, you know what? Uh, we need to talk. And he's not giving her a reason. He's just like, we need to talk. So then she's like, okay. And after that, but she has to go to the party for Angela, but it looks like she won't be able to make it because she has to go to the studio to talk to her uncle. And the interesting thing is we see Peppa come in there with her uh, with Jazz, her daughter, and they're trying to sneak her into the club, but she's not old enough yet. So they have to send her back home. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And Peppa's like, oh, girl, bye. Bye. And that was just funny. So then, guess whose birthday it is? It's TJ's birthday. And so they, I believe it's TJ's birthday. Yeah. And so it's either TJ or Boogie's birthday. And so they're at the party, having a good time. And of course, you have Christinia trying to call Angela because she's like trying to tell her that I can't make it, but it goes to voicemail. And so Angela sees her stalker. Angela sees her stalker and she jets because she's like, you know what? I don't know how this person got here, but I need to go. I need to go now. Security, security. And everyone's kind of like, okay, what's going on over there? Type of thing. So she gets in there, she has her people, and they're gone. And so that was episode 1. So please tell me what you think. Please like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate it if you actually watch this full video instead of maybe like the first minute or so. Let me know what you think. I will be reviewing this every week. Again, I appreciate and love the fact that this show feels authentic and no one's putting on for the cameras, and they're actually being pretty honest. They're not going and like with gut punches, but they're being pretty real, and I appreciate that always. So again, let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe, and thanks. See you next week.